So this is part 2 of my video on school meals. You can see the first part on my page if you haven't yet. And in the first part, I did neglect to mention why I know so much about school meals. I did spend 5 years working for a nonprofit that specialized in improving school meals for school kids, and their most impressive and successful program was California Food for California Kids, which is a program that helps school food administrators procure fresh fruits and vegetables that are grown in the state. So if they are farms near the school, they can help the school procure food from those farms. So in the last video, I broke down sort of what the school food program looks like from the USDA and why people complain about school food and why I think those complaints are not very well founded. But let's get into a little bit more about what the challenges are around school meals and what the opportunities are. So school meals are deeply, deeply underfunded. Yes, they are funded nationally from the USDA, but that funding from the USDA comes with a lot of restrictions, it comes with a lot of work, a lot of paperwork, a lot of rigmarole to receive that funding. And the amount of funding that a school program receives depends on how many free and reduced lunch students are a part of that school. And the piece of what makes school food high quality or less high quality, the nutritional value, as I've said, is at a minimum. So there is nutritional value in that food, full stop. Like, if you have a situation where someone's family is struggling and their kids are coming to school and the lunch that they get at school is the only food that they are going to get for that day. And in California, they serve breakfast and lunch. So if the breakfast and lunch that they get at school is the only meal that they get all day, which is the case for some families, then that food is critical. And it is important that we not let the perfect be the enemy of the good in that situation. But the problem that we see of school meals being processed, not being cooked fresh, not having high quality fresh fruits and vegetables as a part of the meals, the reason that exists is funding. It's money. School meal programs are deeply and chronically underfunded. Our education system as a whole, the state and local level, they have underfunded public schools for the past 40 years. I may do a video on that coming up. The reason for that is racism. I can't get into it in this video, but that it is 100% racism. But they've been chronically underfunded in general, and one of the places that is underfunded is the school meal program. So they got away from having these big kitchens where they would cook fresh meals and where the stereotypical lunch lady would like spoon out, stew or mashed potatoes to kids in line cooking hot meals. Like they don't do that anymore because it was expensive to do that. And now what most schools have are microwaves. They have a fridge and a microwave and a place to heat up meals in the microwave. Maybe they have several microwaves depending on the size of the school. But the people who work in the school lunch program are some of the lowest paid members of the school staff. They often make minimum wage, and they will get like 4 hours a day for work. Like they basically work part-time. And so those folks are just not paid enough, and they are not a highly skilled workforce for the most part, because what they're doing is heating up food. They're not cooking food. And so that just because of that, the food that you're getting is going to be processed because it can't be cooked on site. And so there has been a movement in California and in other states to make it a priority to cook fresh meals for kids. And they have put a lot of money into this. Some schools have the space and the money to put in commercial kitchens and to send their staff to continuing ed to get them trained to cook meals. And some districts have decided that they can't put kitchens in each school site, and so they're going to build a central kitchen where they will cook all the food for the schools in the district, and they will be packaged meals, but they'll be packaged from the central kitchen and sent to the school sites. And like I said, this is a really cool way to improve the quality of your school meals. It's a great way to help your workforce gain more skills. And in the school meal programs that I witnessed, where they transitioned from being a heat up the food only to cooking meals, like the level of pride and sense of accomplishment and just like joy that the staff would get from feeding kids these meals that they cook themselves is huge. Like that's an intangible that is really important, the connection between the food that is made and handing it to the kids. But the other piece of it is it's very expensive to get that kitchen equipment. They have to like apply for grants to get this kitchen equipment. They have to like beg corporations to give them a discount on this food. They have to like hold fundraisers to, not on this food, this equipment, like these fridges and stoves and stuff. They have to hold fundraisers to get this kitchen equipment, and then they have to maintain it, and then they have to train their staff on it, and then they have to find recipes that their kids will eat, which in itself is a huge ordeal, because as anyone who's a hands-on parent knows, and it's just really telling, the people who criticize school meals, I think, are not hands-on parents, because they seem to think that we can dictate from the top down what kids are going to eat, and that is not how it works. Kids decide what they want to eat, especially at school. They decide what they want to eat, and it's important that they eat something, right? So you have to come up with menus that are kid-friendly, that are things kids like. They have to be culturally informed, so the things that the kids at your school are going to like are not the same things that the kids in another school are going to like, because kids at your school come from the various cultural backgrounds that they come from. So you may need recipes that touch on a Vietnamese heritage. You may need recipes that are Mexican or Salvadoran. So you need to be informed about what your kids like and what your kids are going to eat, and that involves doing taste testing, asking kids for their feedback, like actually treating them like people. What? So I think that the project of improving school meals for school children is really complicated. It is challenging on many levels. It's definitely like turning the Titanic in the way that the school meal program has been going towards quicker, cheaper, packaged options that are easier to get, to turn it towards fresh food that you have to procure, that maybe you want to try to procure locally to help your local economy. And then you have to train all your staff, you have to get the kitchen equipment, you have to get the funding, and then you have to keep that funding. All of these things are incredibly, incredibly challenging. And it bothers me to no end. And you can know anytime that you hear something on the news about school food, you can think to yourself, Laura is really annoyed right now. Like, it bothers me that people helicopter in and decide that everything's bad, and they're going to throw out the baby with the bathwater, and they're going to ask people to make miracles, and they're definitely not going to give them any more money. So if you want to improve school food, find funding to improve school food, because without that, it's not going to happen.